Welcome to Daring Faith. I'm Sam Rodriguez, co-host with the one and only Ken Harrison. Is it Ken R. Harrison?
It is Ken R.
And
Harrison.
what's the R?
Raymond.
In more ways than one. Yes. By the way, I used to eat that during my college years. Oh, I said Raymond. I'm sorry. It's Raymond.
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 Not Rain Man.
Not Rain Man.
That was a movie.
That's a movie. Yeah, Dustin Hoffman. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Election year 2024. We have the Never Trumpers. We have the church divided primarily on demographics, ethnicity. Primarily the African-American church will vote in vast numbers, even though some recent polling indicates there may be a shift. But the vast majority of African-American Christians, born-again Christians, followers of Jesus, committed to biblical truth, know the word. They preach the word. They're going to vote for President Biden and Kamala Harris. Then we have over 82% of white evangelicals supporting Donald J. Trump. I need you to reconcile that for me. How can two groups of people who love the same Lord, worship the same Jesus, read the same Bible, filled with the same identical spirit, have a different outcome as it pertains to their voting patterns? Explain that, Ken R. Harrison, please.
I had to go by Ken R. because my dad was Ken Harrison, but he was Ken W. So that's where the R.
Gotcha. No, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's good.
I had a famous black pastor call me in 2020. We both know him. Mm-hmm. I just answered the phone. This is Ken. And he goes, "You tell me who I'm supposed to vote for. You tell me who I'm supposed to vote for." He says, "I can't vote for Biden. I can't vote for Biden, but I can't vote for Trump. So what am I supposed to do?" And I thought about it for a second. I said, well, you can vote for the party that exploits you or the party that ignores you. That's your choice.
Wow.
And I think it's conservatives, Republicans' problem that we have ignored the black vote for so long. And I say we because I'm a conservative. We have ignored them for so long. And the Democrats have simply exploited them ever since the Civil Rights Act was passed, which famously was all Republicans that voted for that. Most of the Democrats voted against it.
True. 64-65. Voting Rights Act, Civil Rights Act.
And then Lyndon Johnson came in, and the great politician. He was a brilliant politician, an immoral man, and he basically bought that vote. He made sure that the leaders like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton came in, got paid off. And I think we've gotten to enough time now where blacks are finally saying, how does this reconcile? Because wherever the Democrats are in more power, you have more problems. I mean, you look at cities, they ruled Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Detroit, and look at those cities. How are black people doing there? So the more we see liberals, leftists rule cities, the worse it is for minorities. I think that's finally coming out. But the Republicans have done nothing to go out and win those votes over.
Why not? Do they really believe that demographic will never, ever embrace God over man, man over government, life, religious liberty, biblical justice? Again, strong foreign policy without being, the militant police state around the world. What is it about the conservative agenda? Is it the agenda or the personalities?
I was emceeing a huge event. About 1,000 conservatives were in the room. And I was up there emceeing it, and I kind of gave them that little story and said we needed to reach out and whatnot. And there were probably, it's an extreme conservative Christian audience. And so there was probably, 50 black people in the room, and the rest were white and Latino, mostly white. And I said that, and I got stony silence. Nobody cared. There was not, I'm pretty good at getting people whipped up and getting them passionate and whatnot, and as are you, anybody who's used to preaching. Went nowhere. It was like I dropped a bomb in that room, a silence bomb. So why not? I don't know, but I certainly didn't capture anybody's imagination that, he's right. We need to be going out to our brothers and sisters and giving them the truth. It was just, it went nowhere.
Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. The great emancipator was a Republican. Frederick Douglass, you go across the line. Some of the iconic African-American leaders who fought for civil rights.
Well, Martin Luther King Sr. was very Republican. And Jr. was...
And then we have this incredible embracing of a narrative that comes from the political party that was responsible primarily for expanding and reinforcing the notion and the idea of slavery, and then, of course, segregation. But we're living in a very interesting age where this beautiful, unbelievably powerful, anointed, I would even describe, African-American community, the Black community that is anointed, that loves Jesus, continues to support an ideology that is counterintuitive to what they hear and preach on Sunday.
Well, let's flip this a little bit. I mean, you have a very multicultural church, so you know this. But let's look at the Latino community. You talk about a community that ought to be as aligned as could possibly be with Christian values and what Republican Party stands for. And yet even Latinos still in a majority vote Democrat.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, and it's about 60-40 split now. So
yeah, it's getting better.
It's not 13% Republican Black vote. It's 40%. It was 44% under George W. Bush, by the way, in 2004. How about that?
Yeah, he was kind of the top of the...
Yeah, he was. 44%. 44% of Latino support.
I don't see Mitt Romney attracting a lot
No,
of Latinos.
no. Yeah. Latinos looked at Mitt Romney for various reasons and did not embrace that at all whatsoever. But it's that same notion. It's the idea, if you're constantly bombarded from the moment you go into preschool, kindergarten, all the way through high school graduation, then you turn on media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, then you go to movies, then you go to sitcoms. Every content, from music to videos, everything you hear, you're constantly bombarded with the same message. If your skin color has any sort of pigmentation, if you're African, if you're Black or Latino, you're a victim. You hear that every single day from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep. You're a victim, 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 you're a victim. And by the way, the Democratic Party is here to help you. We feel your pain. We are empathy on steroids. You're a victim, and we're here to help you. That's the message. I mean, I am blessed to see close to 50% of Latinos supporting an agenda. I'm beyond Republican and Democrat. I'm a Lamb's agenda guy. But I do believe the agenda of life, religious liberty, biblical justice, limited government, no to socialism and communism, pro-Israel, that's my agenda. I believe it's biblically undergirded and substantiated. And whatever party affirms that, I'm going to support that party. Right now, it happens to be the Republican Party exclusively.
That's a really good way of putting it.
The Democrats were more conservative. John F. Kennedy would be a modern-day conservative.
Absolutely.
So help me. His policies, modern-day conservatism. Without a doubt, in every regard, JFK would be a modern-day conservative. Yeah, a compassionate conservative. He would be a modern-day conservative. The Democratic Party left the reservation. Complete extremism. There is no gender. No gender. None whatsoever. You define yourself in every sense of the word, right? This is the party that believes that government is God. So very secular with notions of spirituality, like New Age-ish, humanistic sort of self-narcissistic worship. That's the new Democratic Party. It's government is God. Uncle Sam is my shepherd, I shall not want. You are perpetual victims, and that's the Democratic Party of 2024. So my clarion call is every Christian, not that the Republican Party is perfect, by the way. It is not perfect. It still lacks to demonstrate viable, measurable extensions of compassion, and on different subject matters, whatever it may be. You name one subject matter, and I will tell you where the Republicans get it wrong and where they could do better. Name one. Just name one.
Immigration.
Republicans should begin with the following. Immigrants are a blessing to America. We want them to come here legally. But they don't. They make it seem like immigration is just terrible. Terrible. We wouldn't be here. It's a nation of immigrants, for crying out loud. So affirm legal immigration. State that. It should address as different, economic sectors and needs of our economy, whatever it may be. So it may be more of a Canadian-Australian model. We look at the needs of our various sectors in our economy, and we address them accordingly. The number of PhDs, and the number of construction workers, the number of hospital, whatever it may be. But immigrants are a blessing if they come here legally. That should be the first thing. And then, of course, stop illegal immigration, do all of that we've discussed on multiple occasions. But Republicans can be more redemptive. Abortion, for example. We are a staunchly pro-life party because our Constitution says what? We are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, which are what? It begins with what? Life. Hence, We're a nation.
You know the thing.
It's life. It's life. It begins with life. So we're a pro-life party. With that being said, we need to demonstrate great compassion for women who are making these decisions that are so critical, right? And in the most precarious of circumstances, demonstrate compassion. So that's where the Child Leave Act and daycare and other areas where we can compromise. John Calhoun, Daniel Webster. Give a more redemptive, demonstrate empathy, and demonstrate that on the abortion issue without sacrificing your conviction of being pro-life, without a doubt. That's another area. Climate change, whatever, global warming, whatever phrase you want to apply to it. All we have to come around and go like, guys, come on, just do the science, the real science, not the politicized science. The real science is cyclical. From the beginning of mankind, as far as we can take it, this thing, the ebbs and flows, global warming, climate change, it is cyclical. You have an ice age here, and then we're all a desert. And then we have an ice age here, and then we're all it's cyclical. However, have we done stuff to exacerbate? Have we put pollutants and toxins in the air? Sure we have. Can we address them? Only if everyone else addresses it, like China and India. Why should we sign on to any agreement that China and India could say, deuces, you're on your own? It makes no sense. The pollution coming alone from China travels, hence the jet stream, and pollutes the entire planet. All of us could sign climate change agreements, the Paris Accord. Go for it. If China and India don't cooperate, it's meaningless. That sort of conversation, and by the way, as good stewards, we should care for God's creation. That sort of compassionate, Republicans need a brand new PR team. Great publicity, great marketing from a multi-generational, multi-ethnic perspective. They need to be transformed regarding their message. What the policies they have, phenomenal. The messaging sucks.
That was a mic drop right there.
Did I say sucks?
Yeah, you did.
We're allowed to on Daring Fave.
Yeah.
Do you have any concerns about riots after the election, one way or another? Do you have concerns about the Antifas of the world and the George Soros sort of financially backed up groups that are currently invading college campuses on the left? And are you afraid if Biden and Kamala Harris get reelected on the extreme right? Should there be a concern for, oh, wow, this election, no smooth transition here?
There will be riots, man.
So you
concerned about it? There's going to be.
You really believe that?
Either way.
You really believe that? Mm-hmm. So we haven't been down this road before. Well, we haven't. No, not after an election.
Yeah, not even after Lincoln was elected in 1860. We didn't have.
No, we didn't have riots.
Although he had to take a circuitous route to D.C. because he had so many groups of people waiting to kill him.
True.
But yeah, that was not exactly. We are so propagandized. There's so much money coming in on both sides. Now, I think it's going to be way worse if Trump gets elected. I think the whole Biden side of things, I mean, look at now, we're talking about college campuses a while back.
Yep.
The riots going on, and the amount of professional rioters out there with George Soros's money, yep, and the amount of DAs that won't file charges because they want to see the destruction of America from within. So the whole Biden side, you're going to see riots, period. Trump, I would say there wouldn't be, except for, you have the January 6th thing where you got people all lathered up. I mean, it wasn't what they made it out to be, January 6th, but it was still a bunch of knucklehead people running around and doing dumb things.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I think we're at that point. We're so propagandized in this country. If you listen to MSNBC, the news you get is completely different than Fox. I mean, that's why when the whole Russia thing, the story blew up, I mean, any of us who were listening to conservative commentators and whatnot knew that was all garbage. And when it blew up, we weren't surprised. And yet you look at the left, they were shocked because that's all they heard was this was a done deal and he was guilty. And they never heard both sides of the story. And that's actually one of the reasons why I love Tucker Carlson when he first came on Fox. Bill O'Reilly was getting to be kind of old. He would have the same... not old age-wise, old story-wise.
Just getting stale.
Have the same guests coming on after a while, always just agreeing and nodding their head and agreeing with whatever he said. And Tucker comes on, and all of a sudden he has like both sides. He's bringing the left on, the right. He's bringing guys on I never heard of who are making great points and then obliterating our points. It was such a brilliant show until after 2 or 3 years they finally figured out they couldn't beat him anymore, so they stopped coming on to a show. But it was so enlightening to actually hear both sides. But you don't hear that anywhere. You try to Joe Rogan, maybe you hear some of that stuff, but you try to go on TV today and hear both sides of anything. People want to hear their side reiterated over and over and over again. That's why I can't stand to watch any of those TV shows anymore.
The continual reference of this election is the most critical election of our lifetime.
Right.
Every single generation will forever reference this will be the most critical election of our lifetime.
I think the one in 1860 might have been more critical.
May have been tad more important.
Yeah.
Do you really believe that America has reached a tipping point? Is the future of America directly proportional to what takes place this election or in the next upcoming 4 years?
I think we are on a fast track downhill unless something stops it. I mean, we talked to Senator Lankford about the national debt. I mean, that is going to explode at some point. And I've actually asked a lot of different senators. You and I are both really well connected in Washington. I've asked many people, what's going to happen when that day comes? And they all say, we don't know until we get there. So you, a sitting U.S. senator, are saying that one day something's going to happen and we don't know what it is and we're just going to keep borrowing. I put this into perspective. If anybody's ever heard this before on how big a trillion is. So 1 million seconds ago was 11 days ago, okay? 1 billion seconds ago was 1992. 1 trillion seconds ago was 30,000 BC. We just borrowed $1.4 trillion to keep the government open for 100 more days.
That's brilliant. The way you lay that out, it's utterly brilliant. And it's like wow.
Your mind can't comprehend.
No.
And we are now at a point where we need to borrow
That's
$1
terrifying.
trillion every 3 months to keep the government going. By the end of 2025, we're going to owe 54, maybe it's 45. It's $45 trillion. So we're at a point now where we can't pay our debt anymore. What happens when you just simply can't? Like nobody knows. The general consensus and idea from the economists is that interest rates will immediately go to 25%. Because we're going to put our T-bills out there and no one's going to bid on them. What happens? Really, nobody knows. And I know there is a plan. I've talked to a lot of people who really are very big, important people who say they have a plan to actually balance the budget and start paying the debt down if Trump gets elected. I mean, they're very confident in themselves. We'll see.
And we could argue, Ken, that the idea of a nation ever embracing austerity measures and embracing the idea of doing away with deficits, it's like beyond us. We'll never embrace that. Let's look at Argentina. This man, Milei, ran with what? What was his whole platform? We are in debt. No more free handouts. We are in debt. As a matter of fact, his opening speech, his inaugural speech, no hay plata. That was his speech. We have no money. Imagine an inauguration address. Argentinians, we have no money. What the heck? That man got elected powerfully. Surprise, surprise, 11 points, right? He got elected. He's thriving in the polls because he spoke truth to power. Your children and your children's children and your children's children's children will live out the consequences of our economic measures. Wow. So it has to happen. I do agree it's a debt. The little thing I heard, and then the last one is what I added on. Empires don't go away. They do not. Empires do not go away. If we look at the three greatest empires, arguably land, territory, commerce, economy, military, the Roman Empire, the British, and the American. I'm going to call it the American Empire by sheer influence, not in land, but in sheer influence. We dominated the 20th century. Three greatest empires of all time. The Roman Empire became what? The Roman Empire became a church.
Okay.
Am I wrong? Roman Empire converted into the Catholic Church to a great degree. It morphed into a church. The British Empire.
Well, the Roman Empire influenced the way people think for 2,000 years.
Totally.
Yeah.
But it's now still alive via the conduit of church.
Mm-hmm.
For better or worse. It's still the British Empire didn't go away. The British Empire is a bank. The vast majority of global commerce, the conduit of it, it's not Wall Street as people think. The British Empire, it's a bank. It's a place of commerce. Commerce via all the nations connected
really
to the
true.
British Empire.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
really true. I mean, if you look
Think
at
about
you look at India,
That's right.
Yeah, Canada,
Hong Kong.
Yeah.
You name it. It's all there. the American empire is the only one that's going to become a comedy club.
Comedy club.
Yeah, that's our inevitable outcome, unless there's a shift. We're a joke.
Well,
It's not. We don't have the economy to become a bank. We don't even have the religious faith narrative to. We're a comedy club, Ken.
what about a stockpile of nuclear weapons? What happens to those?
A very, very tragic, a dramedy, we call it in Hollywood. It's a comedy club. We do away with gender. We literally have this ludicrousy that there is no science. There's no biology. Mathematics is racism. It's racist. America, people from England, all over the world, Europe is going, you guys are nuts.
It's true.
This is the first time that Europe looks at America and goes, you guys are too hard left. We believe that math is racist. 2 + 2 being 4 is racist. We're becoming a comedy club. And hence, there has to be a come to Jesus moment. Literally, politically, culturally, in every aspect, in every sense of the word, we have to have a wake-up call. This election will determine whether or not this nation wakes up or we are down the slippery slope to become a comedy club.
Circle back to the way we started this conversation and why it's so important for minorities to be told they're victims over and over again. The reason is so that people can have power over them and get them to continue voting for them,
I
right?
hate the word minority. I hate it.
Yeah, okay.
Can't stand it.
Well, everybody knows what I mean by it.
No,
You're right.
I hear you. I'm not you, but that is a coercive, manipulative,
But you know what's worse?
controlling term.
You know what's worse is people of color. That one drives me
What does that mean?
crazy.
You have color?
It means anybody who's not white.
Or albino better yet. But you have color?
Yeah,
No, well, white.
By Hungarian blood, I've got a little bit of that Hun blood in me. But
Like I have some my ancestry in me. I'm 80% Spaniard white. My dark skin comes from my Taino Indian from Puerto Rico. All right? That's Sam Rodriguez. So which part of me is a minority? My 80% majority white European Spaniard or my 20% Taino Indian? So what do I do? I mean, it's totally outrageous. It's so immature.
But
Cognitively,
as we talk about people groups, however you want to define them, there is a power in keeping them thinking they're victims. Why? Because they then think you owe me money. You whomever, the government, right? You owe me money. So we can't fix our massive deficit and budget problems until we get people to say, I'm not owed something by the government. That's where the power lies with so many of these people who want tyranny. They want to stay in the government and continue to run up our national debt. They got to keep people in a victim mentality. That's why guys like you and I have to go out and tell people, you're not a victim and nobody owes you anything. This land that's been put up, no matter how dented and bruised we are, it's still a land of freedom and opportunity, the American dream, and you can still go grab it. That American dream is far more open today than it was 100 years ago to everybody. So stop your whining and get out there and take advantage of the opportunity, because as long as people believe they're victims, then those who want to use them and exploit them for their own power are going to continue to be in power. This is the only way we're going to fix this budget problem.
John 8:32, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. That's why this is called Daring Faith. That's Ken Harrison, Sam Rodriguez. Let's do one thing together. Let's go change the world.